Hello, my name is Jaydeep. I am from the CSEP section. The topic which I have selected for this concept video is forms of compound statements. Compound statements. Compound statement is a group of two or more statements connected using words such as or, and, if, then, if and only if. Each statement of the compound statement is a component statement, which can be clearly decided as a true or false statement. The individual statements are represented as P and Q, and the compound statements are represented as P or Q, P and Q, P implies Q, or P if and only if Q. So, so coming to the compound statements, the two statements, which are of either true or false, are connected by using the words or, and, if, then, if and only if. So these type of words are used to connect two statements to get the outcome as compound statements. So here we have the examples of the compound statements. We have P or Q, P and Q, P implies Q, P by implies Q. So the symbols we can write as directly as this is the or symbol, and this is and symbol, and this is if then symbol, and it is if and only if symbol. So what are compound statements? Compound statement is made up of two or more statements. The statements are combined using the words such as and, or, if then, if and only if to form a compound statement. These words used to connect each of the individual statements to form a compound statement and are called connectives. Each statement of the compound statement is called as component statement. So coming to the compound statements, compound statement is made up of the two or more statements. So the compound statements are found by the two or more statements which are formed by joining the combining the words such as and, or, if then, and, if and only if to form the compound statements. These words used to connect each of the individual statements to form a compound statement are called connectives. So the words which are used to connect two statements which are of either true or false, these are called as connectives. And by the combining these connectives, we are getting the compound statements. So this is about the compound statements. So here we have an example of the compound statement. So P statement is it is raining, and we have Q statement is it is cold. So here we have P and Q. The compound statement here we have for P and Q is it is raining and it is cold. So we can see that P is the statement which is saying that it is raining, and the Q is the statement which is saying that it is cold. When we are joining these both statements by using the symbol and, so the result will be the combining of the two statements by using the word and. So the result is it is raining and it is cold. So this is the example for the compound statement. Examples of compound statements. So we have seen one example just now. We are going through more examples to understand about the compound statements in the better way. So these are the examples of the compound statements. The grass is green and the sky is blue. So here the statement is the grass is green. This is one statement. And here we have the and word, which is a connective. And another statement is the sky is blue. So here we have two statements. So the one is the grass is green, and the second statement is the sky is blue. And these two are connected by using the connective, which is and here. And coming to the next example for the compound statements, the example is it is cold or it is sunny. Here also we can see two statements which are connected by using the connective which is or. So the first statement in the second example is it is cold, and the second statement of the second example is it is sunny. So it is cold is one statement and it is sunny is another statement. These two statements are connected by using the connective which is or in this example. So by combining these both statements, the outcome which is compound statement is it is cold or it is sunny. So the meaning is it may be cold or it may be sunny. So this is the example for the compound statement. Coming to the next example, which is the third example, if a person is kind, then he is helpful. So in this also we can see the two statements which are connected by the using the connective which is if and then. So here we have two statements. A person is kind and another statement is he is helpful. So these two statements are connected and linked by using the connective if and then. So when the combining these connectives to the two statements, the outcome is the compound statement, which is if a person is kind, then he is helpful. So the second statement here depends on the first statements if we use the if and then connective. So as we see in this example, the person is helpful if and only if he is kind. So here the second statement indirectly depends on the first statement. So to better understand about the compound statement, we are going to the next example, which is the number 12 is an even number if and only if it is divisible by 2. So here also we can see two statements which are connected by the connective which is if and only if, and the result is the compound statement. And the first statement in the last example is the number 12 is an even number. So it is the first statement, and the second statement is it is divisible by 2. So these two statements are connected by using the connective if and only if. So the outcome of these two statements by using the connective, then the result is a compound statement, which is the number 12 is an even number if and only if it is divisible by 2. So it is about all about the compound statements by using the connectives like and or then if and only if. So these are the examples of the compound statements. Compound statements are generally formed from simple statements which are represented as PQ, and the compound statements are represented as P or Q, P and Q, P implies Q, P by implies Q. So these compound statements are generally formed by the simple statements. As we seen before, the compound statements are formed by using any two or more statements, simple statements which are either true or false. So in general, we represent these statements as P and Q, and the compound statements are represented as P or Q, P and Q, P implies Q, and P by implies Q. The symbols used to connect the statements P, comma Q are or and implies by implies, which represent the words or and if, then if and only if, and are referred to as connectives. So these symbols are called as connectives, which means or and if then if and only. The words or and are useful to form a compound statements. So in general, we have two important words which are or and which are used to form a compound statement, but every statement having these words or and need not to be compound statement. But there is an exception for this. Every statement which has or and word in them cannot be called as compound statement. It will have the different understanding. So this is an exception for the and or word in the compound statements. Types of compound statements. So coming to the types of compound statements, the compound statements are classified based on the connectives used across the compound statements. The connectives of or and if then if and only if are used to form disjunction statements, conjunction statements, conditional statements, biconditional statements. Let us check in detail about each of these compound statements. So in general, the compound statements are classified into different types based on the connectives or the words which are used in between the statements. The connective the connectives of or and if then and if and only if are used to form disjunction statements, conjunction statements. So these are the types of the compound statements which are named as disjunction statement, conjunction statement, conditional statement, and biconditional statement. Let us check in detail about each of these compound statements. Negation of the statement. The negation uses the word no, not. For a statement P, its negation is negation of P. The negation of a given statement is the denial of a given statement. The negation of a given statement is to a good extent considered as a compound statement. Let us take a simple example of negation of a statement. Here we have a statement represented by the letter P, and the statement is Delhi is the capital of India. So this is the statement, and the negation of the statement is represented as negation of P, and it has the statement. The statement is Delhi is not the capital of India. So when we apply the negation to any statement, it gives the opposite meaning of the statement. So in this we have Delhi is the capital of India, and when the negation is applied, the statement will become to the Delhi is not the capital of India. This is about the negation of the statement. So the negation uses the word not, no. For a statement P, its negotiation is represented by the letter negation of P. The negation of the given statement is the denial of a given statement. So as we discussed, if any statement is given, then its negation is the denial of that statement. So it will give the opposite meaning of that statement. The negation of the given statement is to be good extent considered as the compound statement. So here the negation is also considered as the compound statement of a given statement. If we are given a statement, then we are finding the negation of the statement, then it is also called as a compound statement. Disjunction statement. The connective used for the two simple statements to form a compound statement, which is a disjunction is or. In a disjunction statement, any one of the statements must be true for the disjunction statement to be true. The two simple statements represented as P and Q can be connected using OR connectivities and is written as P or Q. Here, any of the two statements should be true for the compound statements to be true. So this disjunctive statement, this connective is used for two simple statements to form a compound statement which is disjunction is or. So this disjunction statement is formed by using two statements which are connected by using the word or. So if we are given two statements and we have to make it as a distinctive statement, then we are connecting it by using the connective which is or. The two simple statements represented by P and Q can be connected using OR connective and is written as P or Q, which is a disjunctive statement and it is also a compound statement. Here, any of the two statements should be true for the compound statement to be true. So, for the distinctive statement to be true, at least one of the two statements should be true to give the output of the distinctive statement as true. So it is about the disjunctive statement. Conjunction statement. The compound statement of the conjunction uses the connective and for connecting two simple statements. For this, the compound statement, both the statements must be true for the compound statement to be true. the two simple statements P and Q can be connected using AND connective, and the compound statement can be written as P and Q. For a conjunction compound statement, both the statements should be true for the compound statement to be true. So we have discussed about the disjunction statement. Now coming to the conjunction statement, if you are given any two statements and we are trying to find the conjunction of the statement, so the word or connective, we can say connective, the connective used is AND. So the connective AND is used between any two statements to form a conjunction statement. So if we are given P as one statement and Q as another statement, then the conjunction statement is denoted as P and Q. So for the conjunction statement, both the statements are to be true, then the output of the conjunction statement will be true, or else it will be false. So this is about the conjunction statement. Coming to the conditional statement, the connective used for the conditional statement is if then. If Rima does well in the test, then she will be promoted to the next class. Here, the first statement P can be taken as the hypothesis, and the second statement Q can be taken as the conclusion. We can write conditional statements of these two simple statements P, Q as if P then Q. The conditional compound statement does not hold true if the hypothesis is true and the conclusion is false. But in all other situations, the conditional statement is true. So coming to the conditional statement, if there are two statements and it is connected by the using the connective if then the output of the statements will be a conditional statement. For example, Rima does well in the test is one statement and she will be promoted to the next class is another statement. We are combining these two statements by using if then to form a conditional statement, and the statement will be if Rima does well in the test, then she will be promoted to the next class. Here the first statement P can be taken as a hypothesis. So in this conditional statements, the first statement will be the hypothesis and the second statement is the conclusion. So the first statement will be the hypothesis and the second statement will be the conclusion of that first statement. So in this conditional statement, we are giving the condition where the first statement is the condition for the second statement to occur. So this is about the conditional statement. Coming to the biconditional statement, the biconditional statement uses the connective if and only if, which is represented by the symbol by implies. The two statements P and Q are represented as a compound statement P by implies Q. And here the first statement P is called the antecedent and the second statement Q is called the consequent. Here the biconditional compound statement is true if both the statements are either true or both are either false. So we have discussed the conditional statements and disjunctive conjunction statements. Now we are coming to the biconditional statements. In this statement, the two statements are connected by using the connective if and only if. So if the two statements which are connected by using connective if and only if, then that statement is called as biconditional statement. Here it is represented by the letter by implies. The two statements P and Q are represented as a compound statement P by implies Q, and here the first statement P is called as antecedent. So in the biconditional statement, the first statement is called as antecedent and the second statement is called as consequent. Here the biconditional compound statement is true if the both statements are either true or either false. So in this biconditional statement, if the two statements are either true, then the output will be true. And if the two statements are false, then the output will be false. In all the remaining cases, it will be false. Truth table of the compound statement. The truth table of the compound statement depends on the truth value of the individual statements and also on the connective used to form the compound statement. The truth table of the different types of compound statements are as follows. Disjunction truth table uses the connective OR to form the compound statement. Here, even if one of the individual statement is true, then the compound statement also holds true. So in this disjunction truth table uses the connective OR to form the compound statement. Here, even if one of the individual statement is true, then the compound statement also holds true. So here we have the truth table for the disjunction compound statement. Here we have the P statements, and here we have the Q statements, and here we have the P or Q, which is the disjunction compound statement, which is the output of this 1 and 2 statements, P and Q statements. So first we have true, and for P and Q as false. So in the first case, true and false, true or false, then the output is true. And true or true, then the output is true. False or true, then the output is true. False or false, then the output is false. So in this disjunction compound statements, the statement will be true if either of the one statement is true, and if the both of the statements are false, then the output will be the false. Next, coming to the conjunction truth table uses the connective and to form the compound statement. Here the compound statement is true only if the both the individual statements are true. If Even if one of the individual statement is false, then the compound statement is considered as false statement. So coming to the conjunction truth table uses the connective and. So in the conjunction compound statement, to form the conjunction truth table, we are using the word and to form the compound statement. Here the compound statement is true only if both the individual statements are true. Even if one of the individual statement is false, the compound statement is considered as a false statement. So here we have the truth table for the conditional compound statement, and here we have p values and q values, and the output is p and q. So in the case where the true false is given, then the output of the true and false is false. And if the input is true and true, then the output is true. And false and true, then the output is false. And false, then the output is false. So here the output of the conditional statement to be true is both the first and second statement should be true to get the output as true. In all the remaining cases, if at least one of the statement is false, then the output is false. Conditional truth table uses if-then connective, which is represented as implies. Here the statement P is referred to as a hypothesis and the statement Q is referred as a conclusion. And the compound statement is true if the conclusion is true, irrespective of the hypothesis. Also, the compound statement is true if both the hypothesis and the conclusion are false. So we have discussed about the conditional truth table, conditional statement before. So in this we have represented the conditional statement by using the symbol implies. Here the first statement is called as hypothesis and the second statement is called as the conclusion, where it uses the condition. That's why it's called as conditional compound statement. Here the second statement depends on the first statement. If the first statement is true and second statement is false, then the output will be false. False output will be true. So coming here, we have two statements which are P and Q, and the output is denoted as P implies Q, where it is the conditional statement, and it can be read as P if P then Q, and if the condition is true implies false, then the output is false, and true implies true, then the output is true. If the false implies true, then true. If false implies false, then false. So in all the three conditions we have true, except the first condition is true and the second condition is false, then the output of the conditional statement will be false, and in all the remaining cases it will be true. I thank the faculty and college for giving me this opportunity to speak on the topic. Thank you.